For our sake and the sake of others. So we'll do the prayers, Chrissy. Just the refuge. Well, you can offer a mandala. Why not? Offer a mandala, a short mandala, thinking all the delicious things in the world. We imagine piling them all up and then offering to the Buddha as a request for the teachings. This is the one in English, page 17, okay? So you say it, Chrissy.
This crown provides fruit,
Strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, or continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field and offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. And then we delightedly think Lord Buddha accepts our offering. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryata Yami. Okay, now we do our little refuge and bodhicitta prayer. Maybe put the Tibetan and the English back there. You just passed it. Chernyen, that's the one, yeah. So we do it in, where's the English for this? Opposite page. Okay, do it in English first. There it is. So we think, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, and the merits, by the merits I create, by the virtuous karma I create, listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And now go back to the Tibetan, the previous page, the Tibetan. There it is. So as you can see, like Sangye Chadang Soke Chognam La Jangchu Badu Dagni Kyab Suchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Dropa Shog Sangye Chadang Soke Chognam La Jangchu Badu Dagni Kyab Suchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Penche Sangye Dropa Shog Sangye Chadang Soke Chognam La Changchu Badu Dagni Kyab Suchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sonam Ki Drola Penchu Sangi Drubpa Shog. Apparently I'm supposed to say something different. Chunyen means listening to the teachings. I'm supposed to say saying it or something, but I figure I'm listening as well, so I say that one. Okay. Okay, so all right. So what we're doing is really looking at the entire path. The kind of the end result of all this hard work, this wisdom wing, the nuts and bolts of karma, understanding impermanence, seeing things differently, learning about your mind, lessening the neuroses, growing, all of that's the wisdom wing, the first stages of it, sorting out the mess in our mind, getting more clarity, more precision, more awareness. This is the wisdom work. This is internal. And directly, we are the beneficiaries. This has got nothing to do. First, this has zero to do with compassion yet. We've got to remember that. But now we're ready for the compassion wing, if you like. We can start to move forward, and now we go into the compassion work. So like I said, we're continuing to work on our mind. That does not stop. We continue to lessen delusions, remove delusions, all the way to Buddhahood. It's one way of framing the entire path. It's the lessening of neuroses. Control your body, control your speech, and then control your mind. Get rid of the delusions, ever more subtle, ever more subtle. So in the wisdom wing, as we said yesterday, you could argue that, it is, according to Lord Buddha, attachment is the main problem. Sure, root delusion, ignorance, maripa is the main problem, but effectively day-to-day life is driven by attachment. And we have to look at that and understand that. It's not evident to us immediately. So attachment is the problem. That's the enemy. So everything is conquering that. Now, on the compassion wing, it shifts. The enemy is known as something different, as we discussed. It's called self-centeredness. It's called selfishness. It's called putting me first. So all the practices, those 11 little techniques which you're going to go through briefly, taking the two techniques together, the core 7 causes and 1 effect style, or the other one called exchanging self for others. Pabonka has put together 11 little techniques, the two of them together. And so the approach here, lessening delusions, but now it's particularly in reference to lessening self-centeredness and gradually, completely turning from putting me first to eventually putting others first. It's a gradual process. That's the approach in the compassion wing. And the culmination of all that, of course, as we said, is this thing, this attitude, this view called bodhicitta. It isn't compassion. It's the result of compassion. So they say once you've got it stably, there's two main parts, I think. I think so. One is you only now think of others. And this is very hard to conceptualize. This is very hard to imagine. In ordinary psychology, we don't have such a thing. The only way we can understand this is by looking at religion and looking at the Christian concept of a saint. It's the only equivalent, which is why in modern psychology, it just sounds weird to only think of others. There's no reference point for that, It's just too strange for us. We have no methods for that. It just sounds, in fact, if you think that you only think of others and never yourself, they'd think you're mentally ill, actually. So it's quite hard to hear it properly. You have to understand that, But it's a gradual process. And all the techniques are geared to exchanging self for others, gradually, gradually, gradually. So the very first one, like we said yesterday, we went to it in detail in the equanimity, this very specific state of mind. And this is the use of this word here is very specific. In English language, there's more meanings to it, but here it's very specific. It's a relation to sentient beings. And that means friends, enemies, and strangers. So here we're looking at the three poisons, like we did before in the wisdom wing: attachment, aversion, and indifference and ignorance. But here we're seeing in terms of the sentient beings. So those who are the object of attachment, they're what we call friend. The object of aversion, they're called enemy. And the object of indifference, which is a function of ignorance, stranger. So this is normal world. We don't think this is a problem. We think this is normal. Dogs and monkeys have the same. Everybody in the universe divides all other sentient beings into these three categories, and there's no fourth category. Think about it. So the friend is a name given to the person whom you are attached to, whom you think is divine, gorgeous, your beautiful baby, your divine husband, your best friend. Attachment paints a picture of beautiful, which prevents you from seeing any faults. Which sounds good, but it's not. It's kind of blind. You've painted up your own picture. But the crucial point to remember about friend, that person has to deserve that label. And that means they have to do what your attachment wants. As long as that person you're attached to does what your attachment wants, fulfills your needs, does what you want, says the words you like, gives you the things you want, treats you nicely, that's the requirement, then you, as far as I'm concerned, you deserve being my friend. So really we should be embarrassed how self-centered it is, And then as soon as you do what my attachment doesn't want, and if you do too much of it, like if you're my beloved husband and you leave me for someone else, then I throw you out of the friend category and you join the enemy category. And now what happens? Aversion is in my mind, and now that paints a picture of an ugly person. And I don't see any good qualities. I forget all the good things you've done. I now see ugly person. That's what defines you in my mind. We understand this, And the third person, they're so boring we can't even look at them. And that's 99.999% of the universe. We know this. And who are they? They're called strangers. And what is a stranger is a person who's neither harmed you nor helped you. So how do you feel? You couldn't care less. They don't even exist for you. We know this. So we think this is normal. The world does this. Monkeys and dogs and ants do it. But Lord Buddha is saying on the Mahayana path, this is still delusional. It's still kind of self-centered. It's still delusional. It's still misconceptions. And we can go beyond this. And learn. So the key thing about equanimity, it's very precise. Don't confuse it with love and compassion. Love and compassion come about number 5 and number 6 in these 11 techniques, or 9. Each of these states is very specific. We're not used to thinking of it like this. When we think of love and compassion and equanimity, we get a very kind of gooey feeling. Oh, it just sort of means, oh, everyone's lovely, everyone's equal. It's too vague, You've got to be much more precise, much more analytical. So equanimity is the starting point, as we discussed yesterday, the ground, the foundation. So we've got to be clear what it means. So essentially, when you've got equanimity, when you've got it, It is what it is this heartfelt recognition that friend, enemy, and stranger out there, that they, from their point of view, they are equal to each other from one point of view. That's it. They want to be happy and they don't want to suffer. So we've got to think about this one, because it's not virtuous or non-virtuous. The Buddha's just saying this is the way the world is. If you're a sentient being, you want to be happy. You want happy feelings. And if you're, and you don't want unhappy feelings. So it's kind of quite profound, but it's taken just as a given, It's not virtuous or non-virtuous. We've got to, and this is why I've got to hear these different words from the Buddha's perspective psychologically, because they're quite different from how we talk in the West, quite different. Once we're clear what the Buddhist view means, it really helps us understand, how to practice. So happiness and suffering, happy feelings, suffering feelings, pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings. Everybody in the universe just naturally wants that and doesn't want the suffering. That's it. So this is the basis here of equanimity. So right now, the only people I want to be happy, which is the definition of love, may you be happy. The definition of love is may you be happy, a thought, may you be happy. So who are the people we wish to be happy now? Who are the people we love now? Only the first category. It's logical, because it's contingent upon their doing what I want. Our love is totally self-centered. It's better than nothing. It is a virtue, but it's contingent upon attachment. It's contingent upon attachment getting what it wants. So it's limited. Of course it is. So what we're trying to do is shift that. Buddha's telling us, guess what, folks? Everybody wants to be happy, not just your friends. So how about deciding you're going to start wanting everybody to be happy? So what's the logic for that? If the logic of delusion, of ego, is that as long as you do what I want, then I'm prepared to want you to be happy, that doesn't work. It's only the friends. But if you decide by recognizing that everybody wants to be happy, and you've got to think about that, it's not evident. You've got to think about it. When we establish that as true, then we realize the person I call enemy, who's mean to me, who doesn't do what my attachment wants, it's evident that they also, in their bones, in their body, in their mind, they only want happiness as well. But that's what's hard to hear. We don't want to hear it. What do you mean they want to be happy? They don't deserve it. That's what's overriding us, which what prevents us from seeing the practical truth that the mean, ugly person, the pedophile, the murderer, the bad politician, your ex-husband, that they're exactly the same as your friend from that one perspective, just one. They want to be happy and don't want to suffer. This is logic. This is why I got to use logic, not wishy-washy feelings. This is logic. And why logic? Because delusions are illogical. They're irrational. They're emotional. They're neurotic. So we've got to argue with them to see the truth. We understand it. We've got to think about it. Think carefully. But the basic one is everyone wants it. It's just what runs all minds. And Buddha happens to be telling us back on the wisdom wing, there is a method to get happy. There's a method to get happy. Get rid of the delusions, So here, on the basis of this, we now have to see that everybody wants it. So we're changing our emphasis from only wanting our beloveds to be happy to wanting everyone to be happy. And the basis is this equanimity in your mind. When you recognize the truth that the friend, the enemy, and the stranger. So then we get a bit confused and we think, well, now that I realize that the enemy wants to be happy too, or now that I realize that little skinny, little ugly, little boy next door also wants to be happy, maybe I should bring him home because I love them all equally. No, you still have your friends, you still have your family, but in your mind, you know that your little, like I said yesterday, your little precious little grandchild, who you think is a saint, because you've got some karmic connection with her. There's a history with her from the past. So it's your job to take care of your little grandchild. It's not your job to take home the stranger necessarily, but you change your mind, your attitude towards them. You still have your particular husband. Just because you want the next door neighbor's husband to be happy doesn't mean you move him into your bed. Don't get confused. It's an attitude in your mind. You mightn't even like him much. You might keep distant. Maybe he's a crazy guy. That's fine. Keep distant. But no, in his bones, he's driven by the craving to be happy and not suffer. So that's something that's really important to see that. We've got to recognize that. But because we don't like certain people, the first thing we say is, what do you mean Mr. Trump wants to be happy? He doesn't deserve it. That's the first thing we say. So we can't see it. So it's got nothing to do with being virtuous. It's got nothing to do with being non-virtuous. Murderers and pedophiles want to be happy. But you've got to see it as bare bones, not as a permission, therefore, to harm children. Could understand that? It's just a bare bones fact. Buddha says he's noticed every being, every mind possessor wants to be happy. So the wanting for them to be happy, that's the definition of love. And the wanting for them to be free of suffering, that's the definition of compassion. So this is what we're trying to cultivate. This is the first step. It's the foundation. And you can grow love, compassion, great compassion validly in that ground. So that's why it's important to understand equanimity, okay? Logically, clearly, not wishy-washy, not gooey feeling, precise, you know. So that meditation alone, doing it, just using logic to argue with ego's misconceptions, is an incredible meditation. Just that alone, you know, they're equal. They're equal in wishing to be happy. That's your starting point. And you can do it as many times as you like in the day. You're in the supermarket and some person's mean and ugly. Remember that one. They just want to be happy too. It doesn't mean they've got permission to hit you. Doesn't mean that. It just means you know that this is the point. They are driven by the wish to be happy. And because they're angry, then they're not getting happiness, so they blame you. That's why they're angry, because they want to be happy. But it's not meaning it's valid what they're doing, but you know why. Because everyone's driven. You've got to understand this. If we didn't want happiness or suffering, we wouldn't have any delusion, wouldn't care whatever happened. You know, oh, stab me, I don't mind, have my leg, it's okay. Well, bodhisattvas are like that. It's something fundamental. Everyone, by having a mind, you want to be happy. By having a mind, you don't want to suffer. Of course, Buddha's giving us a method. That's what's marvelous. You know. Are we communicating here? Any questions about equanimity? No, no, yeah. You've got to think about it. It's not a feeling. You've got to be clear and think about it logically. And it's a great argument. As soon as someone's upsetting you out there in the line at the supermarket or wherever you like, on the street, on the road, especially on the road, oh my God, you know, want to kill people. It's right there. Forget about even saying, may you be happy. Forget even that. Just they want to be happy just like me. And because they want to be happy, they've got attachment, and then attachment doesn't get what it wants. That's why they're angry, but it's all rooted in their wishing to be happy. Right there. Can help your mind. Right there. So then what's the next one in these 11 techniques? Well, this one is just like a joke in the West. We think this is the silliest thing we've ever heard. What we're trying to do now is open our minds. So this thinking now is, next one, the next of the 11 techniques is all sentient beings have been my mother. We think, what are they talking about? And anyway, who cares? We can't even see the relevance, you know. So, okay, it's logical from the Buddhist perspective. If there are countless sentient beings, if all of those minds are beginningless, right there, I think just do the math, which is crazy for our minds. It follows logically we must have bumped into them countless lifetimes. And therefore, logically, they must have been our mother at some point. I remember mentioning this to a mathematician, and he said it was stupid and there's no logic to it. I don't know. I can't work it out. I don't know, but it seems logical to me. So the whole idea is to expand our mind, okay? Just open your mind, please. Take this view of continuity of consciousness, many lifetimes. And why mother? So weird for us. We think our mothers are terrible. We think our mothers are the cause of all suffering. Not even our fathers. Our mothers get the blame. We know that in the West. We know that. So as His Holiness says, well, if you don't want to think about your mother, think about your father. And if you don't want to think that, think of somebody who's been kind to you. All it is using a name, a type of person who has been kind, and then realize that everybody has at some point had that relationship with you. It's just to expand your mind, you know. So if you really hate your mother and you can't cope, then think somebody else. Just relax about it. That's all. Nothing concrete about the mother. It's just usually used as an example. No doubt these people back in India, maybe they had kind mothers and they appreciated their mothers, I suppose. You understand? So if you can do it, fine. If not, think of someone else if you like. But the whole idea is to open your mind, okay? So the third one, this is very shocking, based on what I said. The third one is the mother is kind. What? So I think this, you could do two here, like 3A and 3B. So let's look at 3A first. The second one is intellectually even more weird, but we'll go into it. And I like this one. 3B is all sentient beings are kind to me. So let's look at the logic, but let's look at the first one. Let's look at a really good way we can think about your mum, even though you think she's mean and ugly, and she might well be mean and ugly. She might be deluded. She might be an alcoholic. She might be mentally ill. I agree with you. She might be. But that's not the discussion here. And this is a powerful practice. So the way to think that is this. And my feeling is, I think my feeling is even the way we use the word kind. When we say, oh, she is so, anybody, oh, he's so kind. What we mean is their nature is sweet. They have a sweet voice and they did something that I wanted. It's totally self-centered. If a person's kind to me, I don't care if they're mean to the next door neighbor. I don't care. If they're kind to me, then they must be a kind person. It's not rational. You understand me? You be in that restaurant, that waiter, the waitress comes to you and smiles at you and gives you and brings back an extra piece of cake, extra cream. Oh, you're so kind, you say. Just because she gave you what you wanted. It's not a valid reason for someone to be kind. So what I'm thinking is the word kind here is actually used for the fact that the person did anything. So your mother, for example, she did anything at all, the first level, anything at all to help you. So your mother, you know, there's so many reasons. You could start writing a list, and this is a job to do. It's very painful for us if we think our mother's ugly. But when you understand attachment and aversion back in the wisdom wing, you know, because your mother's been mean to you, that you've painted a picture. Anger has painted a picture, and anger paints a picture of all of her being ugly. All of her is ugly. As we say in English, you paint it with the same brush, the one brush of anger. And you know it's not true, especially when someone sees you in that bad way. When someone's angry with you, you know they think all of you is ugly. They don't say, well, your left ear is really nice and your right one is ugly and beautiful. No, all of you is ugly, because that's what anger does. So if you've done that for your mother, it's a powerful practice for you, if you can, to start remembering, write a list of the things that she's done that have helped you. I mean, you have to want to do that because you don't want to do it. You just want to think she's mean. But it's really powerful. Well, one of the first things she did for you, she gave birth to you. I mean, this is not a joke. If you look at the millions of mothers who maybe have abortions, maybe hundreds of thousands in the world, maybe millions, I don't know. Well, your mother didn't abort you. This is enough for you to be blissed out about your mother, that she didn't kill you. And I'm not being sarcastic here. I remember a friend of mine years ago when I was, you know, a kid, young, and I had an abortion when I was in my early 20s. And some people I mean, there's one woman who was younger than me. She kept thinking I must have an abortion. I didn't want an abortion. She was pregnant. She wasn't married. It was in the 1960s. And I kept saying, oh, have an abortion. It's easy. Have an abortion. She said, I don't want an abortion. I don't want an abortion. I don't want to. She didn't say, kill my baby, but I don't want an abortion. So she had a baby. She gave it away. And then she suffered terribly for years, pain of losing that baby. And then eventually she found the child and they met. And this child still hated her mother. They couldn't get along because this child resented her mother for giving her away. Now that child never thought She didn't know, and I knew that woman. She did not want to kill her. That girl never realized that her mother, all she thought was, oh, my mother gave me away. Her mother decided not to kill her. I mean, that's the most precious thing in the world. You can't imagine that. She never thought of it, never thought once. She just hated her mother. I mean, that is a powerful reason to prostrate with gratitude that she didn't decide to kill you. Because I know she consciously decided not to kill her baby. That, I think, is the most profound thing I've ever heard. Are we communicating? Whoever thinks that? And a lot of us have this self-pity. My mother gave, some of us are adopted, there's no question. And we feel this sadness of being given away, of being rejected. But we've got to think about this, this is profound. I know this woman. She said, no, I will not kill my baby. But that child doesn't remember it. She gave me away. She's so mean. Oh, I think you can't get past that. That's incredible. And then you think, yes, your mother's self-centered. Yes, she's angry. Yes, she's neurotic. But she fed you. You're still alive, so she must have fed you. She showed you how to, wipe your bottom in the toilet. She put up with your crying at night. She might have shouted at you, yes, but she still fed you, looked after you. She didn't chuck you on the street. There's so many things you can remember, simple things that we don't want to remember when you're angry with somebody. We don't want to. So it's a profound practice in this compassion wing to humble yourself, to remember the good things. Don't make them up. This is real. She didn't abort you. It's real. She must have fed you. And before you know it, basically what you're doing is painting a new picture of your mother. The number of my friends who are Buddhist who have done exactly this. One friend of mine hated her mother. Her mother was self-centered, neurotic, and alcoholic. I mean, impossible to put up with, so difficult. She gave her up for years. And then as she got older, she got cancer. And my friend, who's a Buddhist, went back home to take care of her. And she ended up loving her mother, loving her mother, loving her mother. You don't just change overnight. You had to use logic to argue with ego's misconceptions and remember the good things and then see her suffering, We're capable. We're big girls and boys. But you've got to think logically. It doesn't just come overnight, The mother is kind. So, of course, if you're an advanced practitioner, even when she hits you, you know she's kind because she's helping you remove your delusions. But that comes later in exchanging self for others, doesn't it? So this is really when you understand these techniques for developing love and compassion aren't sentimental, aren't kind of blur feelings, which is how we think about it. It's using logic to argue with ego's misconceptions. And that's we learn back in the wisdom wing, that they're misconceptions that we have practiced, using analysis, logic. That's what makes the change. Now, the second part of number 3, all beings are kind. We can't immediately see any logic there. Well, it's based on dependent arising, isn't it? It's so delicious, So what's the logic there? Well, I'll use a simple example of my glasses. Well, no, okay, generally speaking, this one, you could say what this is recognizing, this is my words for it, this type of attitude, the one of all beings are kind. What you're saying is that since you're conceived in your mother's womb, everything you have ever experienced, everything that has facilitated your life, everything from the moment you were conceived in your mother's womb up to now that has facilitated your life, that's enabled you to have a good life, is the handiwork of sentient beings. So starting with your mother and father, the egg and sperm came together. And then your mother started to eat food. She ate the chickens and the fishes and the bulls and the cows and the veggies, but the animals. And she put them in her mouth and they turned into your body. You can't argue with that. Your body is made up of fishes and dogs, not dogs, if you're in Philippines, you eat dogs, but fishes and cows and bulls. Is it not? So we say, my body. Excuse me. This is the first logic. Should be enough to blow your mind. Then you came out of the womb, And then in my case, I was born at the Catholic hospital, and the nurses would have taken my little body, squealing and shouting, you know. Came out 2 months early. I was so bossy and busy and impatient. My poor mother. I came out 2 months early, bottom first. Poor mother. So they put clothes on me. They wiped me with a blanket, and that little soft little blanket was probably made of lamb's wool. Little kind lamb gave me her wool. Then my mother fed me, coming from her body. Then the nurses took care of me. Every time, the pillow, the bed, the pillow, all those things. We know that they're handiwork of sentient beings. We know the food came from animals. We know the blanket came from the lamb. We know the heating was done by people in the heating company and the electricity from the electricity company. We know these facts, but we take them for granted because we have the hubris of attachment. Oh, well, of course it's a good hospital. I deserve heat. I deserve food. I deserve lamb's blankets. All these little sentient beings. But for them, I would have been shivering my little body and would have died. We know these things, but remember them. They facilitated my life. Then up until now, in my old age, 81 years old, everything I've ever had, all the food, the clothing, the things, everything is the handiwork of sentient beings. This is using dependent arising, and it is scientific truth. We don't think about it because we just think, I deserve it. So my glasses, I can't see a thing without my glasses, you know, useless. So intelligent people, clever intellectual, clever people, technicians have invented, and because my eye got very thick, very, very hard to see in this one. So if I bought them, it'd be plus 13. If I had to get like, you know, those things at Woolies, plus 13. So they made now glass very thin, not like wearing a saucer on my eye, you know. Really intelligently made glasses. Now, who made them? Intelligent people. Now, the guy, probably the man who invented that technology, he might be a pedophile, right? He might be a pedophile. I don't care. I can see. So I'm grateful to that person. My eyesight is the result of the work of sentient beings. So it's got nothing to do with whether they're ugly or murderers. The fact that he invented these glasses, the fact that people made socks that are cozy and warm and fit my feet, the fact that people in India did this and they use thread now that doesn't turn white after the first wash, which it used to, right? So this is sentient beings. It doesn't come out of the tree like this. Human beings busily making up things, making cloth. So they're not thinking of me. The glasses guy didn't think of me. But oh my goodness, aren't I grateful to him? You know, that's the second one. All beings are kind. This should blow our minds. This is not complicated. Just we never think it. We think I deserve it. You know, give me my blue wool socks. I deserve it. That's attachment. So self-centered, so greedy. I love this technique. Just have to think about it, and you're humbled. You know. So what's the conclusion? The fourth one: I must repay the kindness of kind sentient beings. Fourth one, conclusion. It's logical, these thinkings. They're logical. This is analysis. The fourth one, I must repay their kindness, the mothers and everybody else. Wow, incredible. This shift comes in your mind, energy to want to repay their kindness. Then I get a bit confused. I think the next lot start to come from the other type, the other approach, isn't it? The exchanging self for others. So I think the next one is, what is the next one? It's, this is the beginning now to do the exchanging. You start to now think about how, I think it's this one. You start to now think about how all sentient beings are equal to me. In their wish to be happy and not suffer. This is exactly the same as equanimity, except that is others are the same as each other. But now it's getting a bit closer. It's all others are the same as me in wanting to be happy and not suffer. So we're first establishing that fact. They all are the same as me. This is pretty intense, this one. The first one is just others equal to each other. Here now it's getting closer to home. Everybody else wants to be happy, just like me. This is infuriating, you know. In the line in the queue at the airport, in the supermarket. This is getting closer to me now, isn't it? She's just like me, Robina. This mean, ugly lady with a shopping bag barging in front of me. She wants to be happy just like me. That's sobering, you know. It's incredible. I mean, they're the words you'd use. They're like the bullet point. That's the heading. And then you put meat on the bones in your own experience, in your meditation. Just that, those words enough to contemplate the truth of, you know. Until, if you like, a feeling comes of the truth of it. The next one is beginning the exchanging now. This sounds so strange to us. Think of the disadvantages to me of being self-centered. Think of the disadvantages to me of being self-centered. That's hard. That's very, 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 very hard, because all we see is the advantages. And this is in terms of, it's very evident. Forget yourself, okay? Think of someone else you know who's very self-centered. Think of someone else you know who's very selfish. You know people can't stand them. They're always complaining. They're always moaning. You don't want to be near them because they always think about themselves. They never talk about anybody else. So you can see the disadvantages to them. You can see it naked. Then you say, look at yourself, same thing. In a simple sense, not in a deep moral sense, in a practical sense. No one likes you. You're boring to be around. People keep distant from you. Oh, no, don't go near her. She's always complaining. No, she's always thinking of herself. She's so selfish. She never talks about anybody else. No, don't go near her. We all know that. We can't stand self-centered people. Well, just turn it into yourself now. There you are. Uh-oh, disadvantage. No one likes me. You can't get what I want. You can't get what you want. No one will do what you want. I was first in the line. I want my ice cream. No one wants to hear you. It's sort of so naked. It almost seems too simple to think of the disadvantages of being selfish, you know. It's obvious. It's practical. Nothing holy. It's evident. And of course, the next one, think of the advantages to yourself of thinking of others. And you know people like that. You know some people, you just love being around them. You don't even really analyze why. And if you do, it's because they're thinking of you. They listen to you. Oh, really, Robina? Instead of, how are you, Robina? I'm fine. And blur for the next 20 minutes to talk about yourself. You're bored to tears, you know. But you know what kind people are nice to be around. They just make you feel good. They ask you how you are. They're concerned. They think of you. And it's not kind of big drama. We know what that feels like. The advantages to oneself. So then we think, well, that sounds a bit selfish thinking that way. Why would I want to think that way? Well, it's practical. Don't put it in the sky. It's practical. You know? But but there's a problem here. If we are doing these techniques, which we can all do, but we haven't done much work in the wisdom wing, this is the problem. If you're in a relation, let's say, I always think, if you're in a relationship with somebody like your boyfriend, but you're very quiet, you're a bit mousy, you're a bit nervous, you have a lot of attachment, a lot of neediness, you're scared to say what you feel, you have low self-esteem, you're always putting him first, always looking after him, and then you wonder why he abuses you. You wonder why he uses you as a doormat. This is really common in our culture. So then you go, well, I'm doing exactly what they say. I'm trying to think of him all the time, but he keeps abusing me. So what do you mean there are advantages to being kind to others, of thinking of others? You can't see them because you haven't done enough work on your own attachment. This is why these are more advanced practices. You've got to understand that. If you have no idea about the meaning of attachment and aversion and your own misery and your own victim mentality, then you won't be able to do this one. So you've got to know what you are capable of. This is really, I mean, it's just like with mathematics or tennis. You can't leap into grade 6 if you're only in grade 1. You can try, but you've got to understand the logic behind it. That's why when we do the 8 verses, which we'll do later, these are shocking instructions. They are shocking instructions if your mind is not ready, if you're not a suitable vessel, as Pabonka Rinpoche says. And that's why if you're trying to advise other people, you've got to know how to advise them. So one person might come to you who's in a miserable relationship, complete victim mentality, is totally scared, gets abused every day, and hasn't got a clue what to do. Your advice might be to That's the most intelligent thing she can do. But another person who's a devoted practitioner, who's committed to that relationship, and they start moaning and complaining about their bad boyfriend, you tell them to shut up and apply karma and shut your mouth and eat the shit, please, Robina. That's the best advice to that person. You've got to know these things. These practices are incremental. We just read them all as big fat lump of Buddhist teachings. They're incremental. They're gradual. Got to understand this, continuously understand. And that's why it's hard. When I first heard the Lam Rim from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I had no idea what he meant, a gradual path. It was just so abstract. These words were so abstract, talking all about visualization and merit. And I mean, I think, what is he talking about? I was drowning in confusion. So it takes a while to process it, you know, to get the essence from these instructions. So then that's maybe number 8. I don't know. What am I up to? I'm lost. I'm confused now. What's next? Maybe sort of roughly speaking, now it's getting closer to exchanging self for others. And then you start to do this kind of love comes that want to be happy, love, and then compassion. And so I think a lot of it is actually encompassed in the Tonglen practice, isn't it? This is like the final stages of these 11 practices. And Tonglen is the technique, the most dramatic technique that enables you to cultivate love and compassion, and they call great compassion, but I think probably there's even a thing called great love. I don't know. Is there, Geshe-la? Is the thing called great love as well as great compassion? They don't say that, do they?
Say again.
Great compassion, they say, don't they?
Yes.
So what Tibetan, but they don't say great love, do they? Or do they? Great love. No. But you could argue like that. You could say, may I give it to them? You could say like that, couldn't you? Like in the for immeasurable prayer. We'll do that later. So there's stages of may you be happy, and then there's this is the one now, the courageous attitude of the bodhisattva. This is the unique one. Or compassion, may you not suffer. The next one is, they call it great compassion, and that is, what can I do to make it happen? That's the powerful one of the bodhisattva path, okay? Don't you understand this? So I think this is a valid way to say it. So if you're on the Hinayana path, okay? If you're on the Hinayana path, which is the wisdom wing, the teachers we share with the Hinayana is the wisdom wing. Karma, impermanence, the mind, delusions, attachment, get rid of it, and then you do shamatha, and then you realize emptiness. So you could argue that by the time you've got to realizing emptiness, you've cut the root of ego grasping, your attachment and aversion are kind of, you've got this incredible clarity, this incredible wisdom. You could argue that attachment and aversion and the delusions play very little role in your life. They don't say it like this, but if you think about it, what's left in their mind is virtue. So at that level, you've got incredible love for sentient beings. Of course you have, because love is in your mind. You've got incredible compassion. Of course you have. Of course you have. But this is the point. If you're on the Hinayana path, your goal is liberation. Your goal is to get the hell out of samsara. They don't even, some of them don't even posit the possibility of Buddhahood. Liberation from samsara and its causes is the goal. So your own nirvana, nothing wrong, it's incredible. So if you're on that path, you're moving, you're going to have incredible love. You'll have incredible compassion. How can you not? Because your delusions are gone, pretty much. So it's logical. But the missing piece is because your goal is I must get out of samsara. And by the time in that particular life that you finally achieve your liberation, you've got love, you've got compassion, but your goal is liberation. So finally, at that point, your motivation to get out of samsara overrides your love and compassion, and you zap into bliss and don't come back. But if you're on the bodhisattva path, you've got love, you've got compassion, and you've also got the next one. It's my job to make it happen. What can I do to, this is tremendously powerful. That for you in your rebirth, you might have realized emptiness. You might be an Arya Bodhisattva. You don't need to come back, you could argue. But your great compassion overrides your bliss. Their bliss overrides their compassion. Here, your compassion overrides your bliss. And you come back again into a smelly old body to benefit others. That's the power of great compassion. That's the unique characteristic of the Bodhisattva path. Okay, people? It's huge, it's tremendous. And then when you read examples like Lama Zopa, you can't believe your words. When you read it, you can't believe his activity. He's the proof of the pudding. He's the proof. He's got that one, you know. It's incredible, incredibly advanced. I know when I first heard the teachings about bodhicitta, and I thought, these people are crazy. How can I possibly aim for that? It was ridiculous, you know. But I'll never forget what I heard His Holiness say. If you want to benefit others, practice compassion. If you want to benefit yourself, practice compassion. I thought, there we go. That's the way in, you know. So in other words, that's why even that point way back where it says, think of the advantages to yourself of cherishing others. Initially, we think that sounds selfish, but it's not based on attachment. It's intelligent. And that's why the very first level, I think, as I keep saying, in the West, we miss it. We don't quite understand the meaning of renunciation. We don't understand what Buddha means by the first stages of practice, that you are the beneficiary of controlling your body and not killing and stealing and lying. The purpose of that practice is to benefit you. You've got to understand that. That's the main purpose in the first stages, not for compassion yet. That's advanced, but we miss it. We think, oh, it sounds selfish. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. As Lama Zopa says, and of course, if you stop killing, all the rats and the cockroaches will have a party because you leave them in peace. But it's not, at the first level, it's not driven by compassion. It's driven by your horror at the thought of you having future suffering. Don't underestimate that. So even on this compassion wing, looking at the advantages to you of thinking of others is profound, I tell you. Be happy with it. Be delighted that you're the beneficiary. Don't be scared to think that. It's wonderful. Then who wouldn't want to be compassionate if you see the benefits you, you know? Eventually, of course, you go beyond that. Of course you do. It's gradual. Got to be realistic, you know? We're very kind of holy. You miss the point. Don't think it clearly enough. So, of course, when you finally got bodhicitta, there is no longer the thought of I. And you could argue it's because you've fixed up the I. You've now become this blissful, amazing, wonderful, happy, ridiculously happy, joyful I. You don't have to worry about I anymore. You've done the job, you know. I'll never forget one time talking about this level of compassion these people have, you know. Curtis Sensei Rinpoche, I'll never forget. He said, I'll never forget the words. He said, there's this certain level of bodhisattva. I forget what level, certain kind of level of bodhisattva. Obviously must have realized emptiness, Arya bodhisattva, whatever. He said, for that person, the action of cutting off his hand and feeding it to a starving animal is as inconsequential as a leaf falling off a tree. So what's happening there? All it means, you could argue, is that, you know, delusion's gone. He's done the wisdom wing, tick the box, realize emptiness, knows there's no inherent I. But that's not enough. He's got bodhicitta as well. That's the piece that's extra. That's the piece that's extra. So in other words, he's not stupid. He knows he's got a hand, and he's not stupid. He knows he's got a nervous system, and he can see the blood coming, you know, the blood bursting out. He can see that. He's not stupid. But all he can say is his virtue, his goodness, his virtue, his love and his compassion and his realization of emptiness completely override. The compassion completely overrides any feeling. Technically, there is feeling there, intense, unpleasant pain. You could argue, but the compassion is so total that this is as inconsequential as a leaf falling off a tree. So you could argue this is why we have such pain. This is very hard for us to hear. We just say, oh, pain is natural. No, if you have ego grasping, the pain is tremendous. But he's got no ego grasping and bodhicitta. This is logical, but you have to understand the teachings to see how it's logical. And of course, that level of compassion sounds demented, sounds crazy. Who wants that level of compassion? Don't be stupid, you know? Running around cutting your hand off for people. Think you've lost all common sense. So after these techniques, you're gradually changing your mind, moving around. Then this Tonglen seems to be so much of it's involved in this Tonglen. And that's, I think, where we maybe now can do, or after the break. What time is it, Emma? What time is it, darling?
11.
It is now 11:15.
No, we do a break at 11, so 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll have some questions now. Then later we'll do the 8 verses, and the 7th verse is where Tonglen comes. We'll do it then. So now let's have some questions, please. I'd really like you to have some questions. Please, questions. Everybody, anybody. If there aren't any, then what can I say? I have to talk more. No? This meeting is being transcribed. What does that mean? Oh, you mean the machine is doing it? Anybody got a question? No? No questions? Anybody? Please have a conversation with me. Somebody. Yes, good, darling. Talk to me.
My question is about tough love.
Tough love, yes. Go on.
I
Have you heard of tough love, Geshe-la? Have you heard that phrase? You, Geshe-la, have you heard tough love? You'll hear. I'll explain it. It's good. You'll see. Go on.
And it's something I've been subjected to.
By whom?
By my dad.
By your dad. And you're confident it was tough love. You trusted he was coming from a compassionate place.
Yeah.
That's good. That's marvelous. That's wonderful. Go on. So go on.
I'm thinking more from like the perspective of the person who delivers.
Sorry, what, dear?
I'm thinking more from
Speak more like in the front of it, near your mouth. Yeah, that's it.
I'm thinking more from the perspective of the person who delivers the tough love.
Okay,
So,
good.
So like where I am at the moment, I have a level of dissonance, I guess.
Distance.
Dissonance.
Go on.
Conflict. Because on the one hand, I feel stronger for what I've been through.
You mean, okay, so basically what you're saying is...
But it was cruel, you know.
So, okay, what you're telling us is that your father was cruel to you. He was mean to you. He beat you and abused you. Is that what you're saying?
No, mental tough love.
In what sense? Well, forget about calling it tough love. Let's just start at the basics. So you're telling us that your father abused you. What, verbally?
Yeah.
Not physically.
He messed with my head when
in what?
I was in a very vulnerable mental state.
Okay, now it's getting more complicated. So we've got to get down to facts. Can we get down to facts as a nice discussion?
Sure.
So what do you mean? Can you give an example?
Yeah, I'll just say what happened. I experienced a psychosis.
Oh, okay. So you're a little boy.
No. Yeah, so tough love, you're not talking about parenting.
Okay, I'm not... See, tough love is a very big thing, and that's on the compassion wing. And there's an assumption in your mind that your father was harming you for your benefit.
Yeah.
But that's telling us... So that's either he was, or you're deciding you will see it that way.
Yeah.
So can we forget all that for the moment?
Sure.
And so tell us roughly what you're saying. What happened?
I experienced a psychosis.
So what do you mean by that? How old were you then?
This was pre-pandemic, 2019.
So before, how old were you then?
32.
So what happened before you were 32? Your father didn't abuse you then?
Well, when I look back at my childhood, at times he messed with my head.
Okay, what do you mean by mess with your head? We have all these words, but what do you mean? In what way was he abusive to you? Can you just give examples? In what way was he abusive to you?
Give a reason, yeah.
Give an example. Doesn't matter.
I'm just trying to think.
Sure, darling, I understand that. Because what you're doing is giving us an interpretation of his actions, which is helping you. But let's just look at the facts.
Yeah. So I was living away from home, but like independently, when I had my psychosis, when I became very confused and mentally ill. And then I had to move back home to my parents.
For them to take care of you.
To take care of
me,
then, because I wasn't able to.
I understand. So then?
And I can give like, I have called the home-based treatment team. So the doctors came to my home to assess me.
Exactly. Then?
And I didn't get very much advice, but one thing they told me was, don't worry about things like money. Don't worry about practical things. You just need to stay.
Who told you that?
That was the doctor.
Okay, so then?
my dad was hounding me to, because I was in a lot of debt and he wanted to talk about this all of the time. So he was directly contradicting.
Okay, so then,
and I would tell him that.
and then
I actually went away and did tally up all of my debts and said, here you go. And he went, no, not bothered, not bothered.
what?
So we
No, what?
We had a big argument, and I'm saying, like, I'm not going to do that. The doctors say, don't do this.
Okay, so let's get to the essence of it. You are saying are you suggesting your father caused your psychosis?
No.
So what are you, I mean, it sounds to me, so far I haven't heard any terrible abuse yet. I'm not being rude to you. So what is it was so abusive about your father's behavior? I'm not trying to be mean to you, and I'm trying to doubt you. Yeah. But in what way did your father play with your head, as you said, mess with your head? How did he do that?
So he compelled me to do something that the doctor...
You mean he compelled you to put your money together?
Yeah.
And you did put your money together, and then what did he say?
And he dismissed me as if he didn't want to know. So
what do you mean by that?
I literally totted up all of
I understand that.
It's like, here, I've done it, you know, even though I didn't want to do it, I've
so
done
good.
this for you.
And then
let's talk about it. And he was like, no, 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 no.
So what do you mean by he said no, no, no? Where do you think that was coming from?
So it's part of a wider pattern. This is just
so this is your interpretation of your father. So okay, now we're going to get okay, what makes you think your interpretation is accurate? What makes you think your father was manipulating and harming you mentally? I'm not saying he didn't, but if we say something, we have to have evidence. So why do you say that?
That's just one example of a bigger pattern. So there's a list.
So you're saying your father... it's very hard to, I know what you mean, but I want to unpack it.
Yeah, sure.
So he didn't physically abuse you, no. But as a little boy, was he always like this?
Actually, he did kind of physically abuse me in the sense he was blocking doorways a lot.
What?
He was standing in the way of me and blocking me and sort of...
I understand. So, okay, so in general, what you're... Okay, so now that's your father. Yeah. That's your father. Yeah. Your view of your father. And now we have to look at you, right? Now we have to look at you. What's your name?
Mark.
You're Mark, okay. So Mark, how old are you now? Like 40 or something?
39.
Okay, well done, darling. You look pretty good. So now, if you take the Buddhist view of you, so first of all, do you use the Buddhist view to explain yourself to yourself? Do you use the Buddhist view to explain your life, your father? Do you use the Buddhist view of karma? Does that make sense to you? So first of all, if you think about these things and apply the karmic one, then clearly your father seems a bit weird. I mean, whatever it was, he wasn't the most healthy man mentally, maybe. He was a bit looming above you. You were scared of him. But the basic one in you have to see, since a little boy, Mark, like all of us, Mark, you had this emotional hunger to be approved of by your daddy. Yeah. Can you see that? Yeah. Primordially deep, isn't it? That's attachment. That's attachment. So the moment he doesn't give you that, we get confused, don't we? And then you think you've pleased him, but then in fact he's subtle, and you try to please him, and then he punches you in the nose, sort of thing. Yeah. So then, do you understand that aspect of yourself? Yeah. Attachment, and the craving to be seen as a good boy, yeah. And that's clearly been the basis of a lot of your suffering with your father. Would you agree with that? Yeah. And were you angry? And therefore, when that arises and your attachment didn't get what it wanted, then you had aversion or fear or anger or upset and confusing. So that's right, confused. You couldn't read the messages. You did what you thought daddy wanted, and then he says, no, I don't want it. So are you learning to see your mind in this? Are you learning to unpack your neediness, your attachment, your fears, your anger? You can do that, right?
That's actually why I say that it's maybe benefited me.
No, good. So let's get there in a minute. So one step at a time. So you're becoming more healthy mentally now, are you?
Yeah.
So when you say psychosis, just out of interest, because it's a very broad word in the West, how would you interpret in terms of attachment and anger and all the delusions? How would you say what that state was?
Intense confusion.
Confusion.
And mild delusion.
Okay, in other words, not clear what facts and fictions. Completely confused.
everything that I thought I knew about.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, fell down. Well, that can be good. It can be healthy. So did you have good support and friends?
Some.
Okay.
I had one brilliant friend.
Good. Okay, wonderful. And so then now you're sort of steady again.
Yeah.
And you apply the Dharma in your life and it works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're coming to the conclusion, based on your practice, that you don't understand your father, but you've decided to interpret it, that he was doing it for your... Because that's what we mean by tough love, isn't it?
My father was quite an intelligent man and he knew what he was doing.
So you've decided it was tough love.
Yeah.
So tough love, Geshe-la, is if you're a good, if his father was compassionate and kind, and Mark was a naughty boy, he would say, go to your room, you're a naughty boy, but he's coming from compassion. We call it tough love. That's a very nice phrase in the West, tough love. In other words, that's what that would be genuine love. For the benefit of the child, you're firm with them, you discipline them. Do you understand? So that's what he's suggesting. His father sounded crazy, but he's suggesting he has decided to see his father in a good way. That's very healthy if you can do that. And are you sincere in this, or are you just pretending?
Yeah, I'm totally sincere.
Okay.
I don't think I would be sat here talking to you if I am.
No, I understand that. I understand. So you still see your father? Well, you live with your father.
He hasn't met with my head.
Because you've allowed, because you become clearer. Because you, because you are more clear.
Yeah.
Don't even say he's still messing with your head. He messed with your head because you didn't know how to not be messed with. But once you stop being messed with, whatever he's doing, and what the next step for you, I think, is also not to interpret so much what you think your father's doing. This is, I think, you've got a very strong view that your father's clever but don't even think that. That's your view. Let him be. He's just a regular suffering guy who's got attachment. There you go. So then, but why are you still living with him? Why aren't you living on your own? You're 39. You got no job.
Yeah. The exit isn't.
You haven't got a job.
Exactly.
You can't get a job.
I think it's coming soon. It's on the horizon.
What? You're getting a job. You're moving towards it.
Yeah.
Well done, Mark. So keep moving. But the next, yes, take this view that your father has been kind to you insofar as you've been able to purify and sort out your mess. But then I think the next step is don't interpret your father so strongly. Don't have this view that he's so clever and so powerful. He's not, darling. He's a deluded dude. He's angry and resentful and attached, just like everybody else. So even the next step with emptiness, don't interpret him so strongly. Just have
to a point to have that interpretation, but
which interpretation?
To analyze it in that way, I think has served me to survive to this point.
No. So now you just have you can just have compassion with this sad man, and even see his good qualities. But you have to be clear yourself. Do you see? So this is you can see how it's so interdependent. You know. Do you understand me? So you're doing okay. You're doing well. Keep practicing. You've got to practice every day. You do your practice and things, and you're doing well. What?
I'm trying. Yeah.
Good. Well done, Mark. Good. Well done. Thank you so much. Okay. Are we communicating? So you can see when you unpack it, it's quite nuanced. You've got to know where he's at, what the father's at, what's this, what's that. According to the teachings, you've got to apply. It's very precise, it's like quite technical. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, sweetheart. You're doing well. Yes, Beth, what have you got to say? Nothing? No, Beth. Okay. Catherine?
I have a question.
Who's I?
Rashina,
talk to me, sweetheart.
Rashina. So I've been thinking about a situation where, okay, so my brother was quite a while ago now. He was violent towards me. Okay.
Your daddy? Your father was violent?
No, my brother.
Your brother was violent. He beat you?
He did. It was about 7 years ago. It was a specific situation. It was a specific incident. Yep. It happened. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, I never held on to it. It was probably trauma. I moved away from it. I never retaliated.
Sorry, darling, Rashina, was it just one time he beat you up, or was it many times?
One time.
He beat you up, physically beat you?
He did.
Okay, go on. So go on.
He did. Okay. So it happened. It happened. Okay. Now, where I am is that as soon as it happened and he lost his temper, to be honest, I felt quite devastated for him. Of course, I was traumatized myself.
Yeah, right.
But I felt devastated for him. Now, the years have gone on. It's been about 7 years. And even 5 years ago, 3 years ago, we'd sent each other some messages. He's apologized. He has apologized unreservedly. It was wrong. There are no excuses.
Good. Okay. So good. So what's the question, Rashina?
So my question is that I feel that he's still suffering, and I'm wondering
out of guilt or something. He's guilty.
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I feel that
Sure.
he's
So what's the question, darling?
So my question is, I feel like, what could I do, even anonymously, to say it's gone, it's done?
No, nothing to do with you, Rashina. There's nothing to do with you at all. There's two. Okay, putting it this way. You might be right. He probably feels mortified that he beat you. He's so ashamed. He's guilty. So that's his anger against himself. So I think no matter what you do, you've told him you've forgiven him, right? You've told him you've forgiven him. He knows that, but he still can't let go of it. Just like our friend here, who all these years, did negative things years ago. She talked yesterday to us. What's your name? Pushpa, and then still feels guilty. So guilty is his problem. He doesn't know how to sort it out himself. No matter what you do, you've already told him you forgive him. You might see him from time to time. You show him you love him, and you're not holding on. There's nothing for you to do. Just if you do ever see him, you love him, you give him a hug, you ask him how he is, and it's up to him. It's up to him. It's up to him, sweetheart. I don't think there's any more you can do. It's not your responsibility, and there's nothing more you could do anyway, I don't think. It's up to him if he wants to go find a good therapist to help him sort it out, but that's up to him. It's up to him, darling.
Wow. Okay.
And why do you feel it's your responsibility?
Well, because I can see that he's still suffering. I invited him.
That's fairly normal, though. If it's not that he's suffering for other reasons, it's not you, darling. I mean, you've let go of it. You're quite happy. You're not angry anymore. No?
No.
Okay. You see him from time to time or not?
I do see him from time to time. I invited him to my wedding in December.
Okay, and he came?
He declined because he didn't feel it was the right thing to do.
Well, that's so he's still being neurotic. That's his problem. You just have to tell him, do you ever text him and write to him and send him a gift? Just tell him you love him. Hope you're well, darling. I love you. Don't try to make him better. That's up to him. He's got to start trusting that you have, but he's not even, you see, more guilt is seeing the bad in yourself, but you don't know how to let go of it. And that's what's mortifying him. He's probably so shocked to see that part of himself. But that's up to him, Rashina. You pray that he finds methods to benefit himself. It's not your burden. You must not be burdened by it. Just love him for who he is, and it's up to him to find methods. I mean, if you ever talk about it, you could always suggest he finds a good therapist. You could suggest that. But if he doesn't bring it up, it's not appropriate. But it's not your burden, Rachina. Just have compassion. Because if it weren't you, it'd be someone else, and no difference. It's just human beings,
Thank you.
My opinion, darling. Okay. Yes, Hayley.
Hi, Venerable. Thank you for teaching.
Good, darling, good.
My question is about equanimity, and I sort of understand sort of having equanimity for all, or trying to get to a place of equanimity for all sentient beings. But sometimes my mind, with the same person will switch from attachment to aversion, and it's really exhausting.
That's right, exactly.
So how to get to a steadier place of equanimity and to sort of cultivate and maintain that.
Okay, I think the equanimity you're talking about is a bit different. So you're talking about equanimity in yourself, aren't you?
Yes.
You're talking about you being more stable and not 1 minute adoring your boyfriend and the next minute hating him.
Exactly that.
That's not the equanimity we're discussing here. That's my point. So that equanimity is what you'd get in the beginning stages of practice, where you're working on your own attachment, your own anger, and you lessen both so you get more equanimity in your own mind in relation to yourself. This equanimity is a very specific one of seeing that the friend, the enemy, and the stranger equally want to be happy. So in this way, you could argue, if it's your boyfriend, let's say, 1 minute when you're as mad as hell at him, you just remember, sweetie pie, he wants to be happy. And when he's being kind to you, remember, it's the same person who wants to be happy. Equanimity here is not the one you're talking, but we need that one. And that's the earlier stages of practice where we steady our own mind. And darling, that's, you just have to keep working on it. Because if you know, 1 minute you adore your boyfriend because he's doing what your attachment wants, the next minute he doesn't, so you get angry with him. We have to see it in ourselves and see how it's so nakedly self-centered. It's not easy. It's difficult, darling.
Yeah, it's insane.
Of course it is. Ridiculous.
And actually, I think sometimes when I come to things like this and come to the retreats,
Yeah.
it almost gets what feels like it's getting worse.
In retreat. Oh, no, of course, because I know that's because we're paying attention to it, sweetheart. It's always been there. I know Pabonka Rinpoche says in Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, when he talks about getting single point of concentration and the stages of 9 stages, and he says a sign of success at the first stage is you think your mind's getting worse. But no, we're noticing it, sweetheart. You're not getting worse, Hayley, but be happy that you're seeing it. That's the big benefit. Be happy that you're seeing the problem.
Okay.
That's the biggest one, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, because sometimes
and also rejoice in your progress, because you are getting better.
Okay.
You must rejoice that you are getting better. So keep practicing.
Just keep practicing.
That's it, darling.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
No questions, everybody? Time for a break? Time, is it? Okay, have a 30-minute coffee and cake break. Is it a 30-minute coffee and cake break, or is it a 10-minute pee-pee break? Which one is it?
15.
How, 12:15. What, 11:15?
So it's 11:15 now. So we'll be having lunch at 12:30.
Oh, okay. We'll have a 15-minute break, yeah? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, darling. See you in 15 minutes, people.